If you do your y minus your y, you get negative 14 over 7, which is negative 2, and so that's your slope. This one, 15 minus 8 over 1 minus negative 4, that's 7 over 5. So your slope is 7/5. Number 3, negative 3 minus 5 over negative 2 minus negative 2. That's negative 8 over 0. Remember, you cannot divide by 0, so your slope is undefined. And if you remember what that means, it means that if we were to graph these 2 points, negative 2, negative 3, and negative 2, positive 5, it would make a vertical line. And so that's when you have a slope that's undefined. Okay, number 4, if we look at our table, our change in y is if you go from 9 to 3, that's going down by 6. 3 to 0 is down by 3. And 0 to negative 9 is down by 9. If we go from negative 14 to negative 10, that's going up by 4. Negative 10 to negative 8 is going up by 2. And negative 8 to negative 2 is going up by 6. So the ratio, negative 6 over 4, negative 3 over 2, and negative 9 over 6, and all of those reduce to negative 3 halves. And so since they're all the same, this is linear, and my slope is negative 3 halves. Number 5, from 0 to 5 is up by 5, 5 to 10 is up by 5, and 10 to 15 is up by 5. So my rise is 5. My run, or my change in y, is 22 to 19, is down by 3, and 19 to 16 down by 3, and 16 to 13 down by 3. So 5 over negative 3. Remember, you have to do the rise, which is your y's, and over your run, which is your x's. So change in y over change in x. And so that's our slope. Number 6, notice that all of the x's are the same. The change from the x's is 0. And so since you're putting your rise over the run, or the change in y over the change in x, since the change in x is 0, it doesn't really matter what's on top here. This is undefined. Your x is not changing. And again, if you think about it as a graph, if you go 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 11, 7, 12, it's making a vertical line. Okay, number 7, here we go with a vertical line again. That slope, undefined. Okay, number 8, find 2 points that you can tell exactly where they are. So if I go 0, 0, and then this one down here, to get from my left point A to my right point B, I'm going to go down 4 and run 1. So my slope is negative 4. Number 9, again, find 2 points. And I've got to make sure we can tell exactly where they are. So I'm going to go up 3 and over 5, and so that's my slope. Okay, remember that this type of line in number 10, I am rising 0, and I'm running, in this case 3. It doesn't really matter what's on the bottom. If you have 0 divided by anything, it's 0, so my slope is equal to 0. Remember that all horizontal lines have a slope of 0. Okay, today we're going to talk about what's called the point slope formula, and it's called that because if we have a point on a line and the slope of the line, we can use this formula to write the equation of the line. So the point slope formula is this right here. So it looks kind of complicated, but it's actually not. M, if you'll remember, represents the slope. And then the x1, y1 just means that that's a point. And so just an xy coordinate like 3, 5 or something like that, that would be your x1 and your y1. So that's what that means. So let's talk about how to do this. If we have the point slope formula, you will need to know how to use that. This is my point right there, and this is my slope. So having the point and slope, I'm ready to go. This is my m, and then I've got my x1 and my y1. So substituting into my formula right there, y minus my y1 equals my slope times x minus my x1. So simplify it. I'm going to have y minus 5 is equal to 1/3 times x, and then 1/3 times 3. Add 5 to both sides, and we get, this is the line. This line, y equals 1/3 x plus 6, what this means is, it means this is the only line that has a slope of 1/3 and goes through the point -3, 5. There's a lot of lines that have a slope of 1/3, but this is the only one that also has, or goes through the point of -3, 5. Okay, number 2. We're going to do y minus, and our y1 is 3, equals -3/4 x minus the x1. So y minus 3 equals -3/4 x. -3/4 times -8 is positive, and then remember how you do fractions. So it's 24 over 4, which is 6. Add 3 to both sides. At any time, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause this and slow down and take another look at it. So if you want to try these two, let's see if you get the right answer. Y minus -1, watch your signs, equals -4 times x minus 2. So that means y plus 1 equals -4x. We're using the distributive property. Subtract 1 from both sides, and there's your equation of the line. So if we're given the slope, it actually is really easy to do. You just have to watch your signs. That's mostly the hardest thing about if you're already given the slope, that makes it pretty easy. So on this one, we're going to have y plus 5 equals 2x plus 2. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides, and there's the equation of the line. Okay, now we're going to have another situation where we're not given the slope. We're going to be given 2 points. So I'm asking you, what's the equation of the line that goes through these points? 10, 6, and 4, 9. So I want the equation of that line. So I need to get some more information. So what I need to do is, in order to use my point-slope formula, of course, I need a point, which I have. I've got 2 of them actually, but I also need a slope, and so that's what I need to find. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my slope. So remember, we talked about this in the warm-up. You're going to do y minus y over x minus x. So 9 minus 6, 4 minus 10, and that's my slope. So we're going to hang on to that. Now here's the great part. You get to choose whichever point you want. It doesn't matter. You can choose whichever one. It will come out the same. So just because I'm going to choose 4, 9. So I'm going to do y minus 9 using point slope formula equals -1/2 times x minus 4. So y minus 9 equals -1/2 x plus, and then half of 4 is 2. Add 9 to both sides, and you get y equals -1/2 x plus 11. That line contains both of these points and has a slope of -1/2 because we created this line to do that. And so that's what we're doing, is we're finding that one line out of all the millions and millions of lines that has these 2 points. There's only one that has both of them. Okay, number 6. Again, find the slope. So I'm going to do 7 minus 7. That seems kind of weird to me. So I'm going to say, well, oh yeah, that's 0. And then I've got 5 minus -3 is 8. 0 divided by anything is 0. What does that mean when the slope is 0? Do you remember? Go back and look at your warm-up. Number 10. Slope is 0. That means it's a horizontal line. If it's a horizontal line, it goes through the y-axis. Where does it go through the y-axis? Well, if you look at your points, it tells you. Notice that if you remember from your tables, if the y's are always the same, it's always going to be, no matter what, y equals 7. Your x can be anything you want, but this line will contain both of those points. So if you recognize that, it makes this type of question really easy if you know what to do with it. Okay, if you want to pause this and try 7 and 8, let's make sure you've got it. Okay, on 7, m equals 11 minus 7. It doesn't matter, by the way, which order you do this in. Let me show you. if I was to do this in a different order, if I was to do 7 minus 11, negative 2 minus 0, I would get negative 4 over negative 2, which is still positive 2. So it doesn't matter which order, you just have to be consistent. So I'm going to choose a point. Now on this one right here, if you think about that, 0, 11, guess what that is? That is the y-intercept. Because if you think about a graph, 0, 11, if it says 0 anything, whoops, it says 0 and then anything, it's going to be on the y-axis. So if I know the y-intercept and I know the slope, I don't even have to use point slope. I can say y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus, what's b? It's 11. Now that's great if you recognize it. However, sometimes people just don't recognize that, and so they go through the whole thing, and that's fine too. It'll work. So what I'm going to do is y minus, choose your point, I'll just choose 7, equals 2 times x minus negative 2. So y minus 7 equals 2x, and that's a plus, plus 4. Add 7 to both sides, y equals 2x plus 11, so then you can get it that way as well. So it doesn't matter, it's just if you recognize what's happening. Okay, number 8, y minus y over x minus x. Make sure you get all your signs in there right. You're going to have 1 over 0. What does that mean? That means the slope is undefined. That does not mean that the line is undefined. There's no such thing. So what we say is because the slope is undefined, what does that look like? Go back and look at your warm-up. Number 7, number 6, number 3. The equation of the line, it's going to go through the x-axis. Where does it go through the x-axis? At negative 1. So if you happen to recognize that right at the very beginning of the problem, you could actually go straight from looking at the points and saying, oh hey, both of the x's are negative 1, therefore that's what my equation is going to be. Or you can go through the whole process. Okay, number 9. When you're given a graph, we don't need to mess with the point-slope formula because all we have to know for the equation of a line is the slope and the y-intercept. And if you look at the graph, we can see where the y-intercept is, and I can certainly tell what the slope is. If you recognize this line, I think we've seen that before today, but my y-intercept is negative 3, or sorry, that's negative 2. And my slope is up 3 over 5. So y equals 3/5 x and then minus 2. We've actually done this type of problem before. Okay, number 10. Look, it's a vertical line. It goes through the x-axis. Where does it go through the x-axis? At 4. That's your equation of the line. So that's just a matter of recognition. Okay, try 11 and 12. On 11, your y-intercept is 0, and my slope is going to be negative because it's going down, and so I'm going to find out what it is. So if I go down 4 and over 1, so my equation is y equals m, x, and then plus 0. We don't need to write that. Number 12. Oh, hey, look, it's a horizontal line, and all of those lines have a slope equals 0. And where does it go through the y-axis? It goes through the y-axis at negative 3. So y is equal to 0x minus 3. Well, 0x is just 0, and so we're just going to have y equals negative 3. Of course, you could have just noticed that and gone straight from looking at your graph to saying, oh yeah, it goes through the y-axis at negative 3, so therefore that's my equation.